Hello and welcome to the Milltown Way, the independent Shamrock Rovers podcast covering all things hoops. I'm Brennan. I'm joined here by Adam Casey, and this is episode 50. A bit of a milestone for us, and one that probably seemed a long way away when we started this. But before we get into that, there's a big European tie to discuss. Rovers drew 1-1 with KuPS in Tallaght on Thursday night in the first leg of the Conference League playoff. We'll look back at that performance, the result, and whether Rovers did enough to take an advantage into Finland. Then, in the middle segment, we'll take a step back from the football and reflect on reaching 50 episodes of the Milltown Way, where the podcast has come from, what's changed, and some of the moments that have stood out along the way. And then finally, it's all about Finland. The second leg is coming up with a place in the Conference League proper at stake. So we'll look at what Rovers need to do to get the job done and continue their European campaign into the league phase. That's all coming up on episode 50 of the Milltown Way. But firstly, I suppose we'll start with, maybe the slightly negative stuff, and that is that Rovers did draw 1-1 with KuPS on Thursday night in the Conference League playoff, first leg in Tallaght. Not much of an advantage to take to Finland.
No, like we're saying it's a bit of a negative spin, but I think if it wasn't for Rovers' awful away record in Europe this year, you'd be delighted with that result. This KuPS are a strong side.
Yeah, I suppose if this result comes maybe in the league phase, you're thinking that's a point on the board, but
it's just having to go out there, and we've all have seen how poor Rovers have been on the road in Europe this season.
I'm not pessimistic about the second leg. The first thing I'd say. I'm not going into this thinking that Rovers, obviously we'll get onto the second leg itself, but just from that point of the scoreline that we're going into next week in Finland, not overly negative about it, but yeah, I suppose looking on at Thursday night, it was probably flat from the Rovers' perspective.
Yeah, it was. It was a flat performance, and I don't think. Yeah, the first half was very flat from both teams. Like there was only 4 shots at the end of the first half amongst both teams. I remember checking that, and it was just felt like it was one of them games where it's written to be 0-0. You take notes during games. There's probably not a lot of notes in the first half compared to the second.
It's quite shorter than the average game, for example. That's the first thing I'll say. Look, Rovers didn't create a lot. We know that. Neither side did. Look, it was a late goal to concede. It is a bit of a sucker punch to concede a goal late on like that, particularly in these high-stake games. But at the same time, the fact that Rovers were in that position, that vulnerable position of a 1-goal lead, you're thinking going into it that it needed to be more. Even if Rovers held on to that 1-goal lead, you're thinking it had to be more than 1 goal, and then to go and concede the goal and it end in a draw, doesn't probably fill you with hope. But look, I think there is positives as well. Rovers probably looked a bit more defensively sound.
Yeah.
On Thursday as well. Like KuPS, they offered chances for sure, which we'll get onto as well. But they had patches where they were probably the better team. Looked like they were it was gonna come. And yeah, look, they ended up getting a goal. Whether Ed McGinty should do better for that or not, probably true.
Yeah, he probably could have done a little bit better with it looking back. But yeah, talking about the defending, the Rovers were a lot more solid at the back, especially coming off a week where they conceded 8 goals across 2 games last week. So they needed that bit of strength, a bit more just kind of stability at the back, and they did do that. Unfortunately, they would concede late on, but I do think there was signs of there was good signs in the game as well. I know they have to go out now to Finland and try and
they have to win.
They have to win, yeah. Well, they can draw and win on penalties.
You don't want that, particularly with Derry on Sunday.
Yeah, especially with Derry. Yeah,
away as well.
Yeah, it's tricky at the moment with everything, but just a lot of games. Well, at least they didn't have a game this week.
Yeah, this is the big relief, and that's also the reason why we didn't record this episode directly after the game on Thursday, is that there's a bit more breathing space, for us to take a bit more time to go in between episodes.
Yeah, we don't have one of them killers straight after.
Yeah, exactly.
After the game, they can be a bit tired, especially when it's a late kickoff.
Yeah, well, that's it. But I suppose early on, the player of KuPS that was quite threatening, Bobny Arma, his name is. He was given. I know that within the first 10 minutes, he had acres of space, and it was just luckily for Rovers that he shanked an effort. But I noted that he caused Rovers quite a bit of issues. If probably for most fans, you would, and had to do the same, of checking the name. You see the number, and then you're like, right, I need to check that name. You don't know most of maybe some of the players off by hand, but Bob Niarma, he created quite a number of chances for KuPS, and as well as that, he was number 24 as well. So maybe if fans are thinking back to the game, if you remember number 24 for next week as well, Rovers heading to Finland, that he might be another problem for Rovers. But that was after, that's inside the first 10 minutes. Then you had Jonathan Afolabi had a half chance. Graham Burke had good control and he sets it up. There was an inviting ball from Will Fitzgerald, but it ended up straight into the keeper's hands. Fitzgerald was good.
Yeah, it was his best game so far. I feel like you've said that before, but no.
It seemed like quite a consistent threat down the left.
Yeah, and it seems to be that he's consistently kind of settling in a little bit more each game.
He seemed to switch. I suppose he did seem to switch flanks, didn't he, when Adam Brennan was brought on though as well. So he was consistent threat down the left, particularly. Maybe not as much of an impact on the right.
No, it wasn't. But at least he's an option to be able to play on both sides. It's always handy to have that, especially with some of the injury trouble Rovers have had. It's always handy to have a versatile player who can play in multiple positions.
There was a Rovers chance then, just before the half-hour mark of the game. So like that's already you're kind of noting there's big gaps in what was happening. To your point of that there wasn't maybe like it wasn't end-to-end stuff or anything. There was a ball in from Graham Burke and Afolabi set up Sobowale, but Sobowale ended up putting it quite a distance over the bar. That was inside the first half an hour. On 35 minutes, Graham Burke cutting in on his right, but it ended up being a lame attempt on the keeper. And noted that at that point there's a lot more needed from Rovers to get going, and particularly it's a Conference League playoff. I know maybe
it's a big game.
Yeah, like I know maybe we all like I mentioned this quite a bit of when it's the second leg at home. It's Tallaght can be maybe it could have been a lot louder than it was.
Yeah. Especially considering that this is it. Like this
is the last time you see Rovers.
The last time we see Rovers in Europe this season.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
On Thursday, ideally not. But in theory, that was the last European game that we played in Tallaght for a year.
Yeah. You had then a couple of minutes later, Will Fitzgerald again. Ends up beating a few men, and then if the ball his ball goes across the box, falls to Sobowale, and in the corner. The crowd responded to that particularly. It started, the noise was increasing at that point, and thinking that it was moments like that generally do tend to kick Rovers on. I think they do genuinely respond well to when there's moments like that where the crowd start to get roused up, and of course that's the purpose of the fans, and vice versa. They go hand in hand. Players give fans something to get excited about, and then the players or the fans then in return give them an atmosphere to get behind them. But then like that, a couple of minutes later, it was the other way around. KuPS coming down the left hand side, and McGinty collected comfortably. He didn't have much, maybe too much to do throughout the game, and then there was a close attempt a couple of minutes later from Graham Burke on 40 minutes. But yeah, half time, I know it was a non-event, a poor half, and it was flat, like we kind of already alluded to, not creating enough. Neither side were, so it wasn't as if Rovers were on the back foot either, but it was just one of them that both teams seemed to be not overly up for it maybe, or just weren't performing to the levels they needed to, and it might have suited KuPS more so because they're thinking if we just take I'm sure they're probably happy with the draw to bring to Finland. They'll know, obviously they'll be aware of Rovers' record away from home as well in Europe, so maybe they're happy with that result.
Yeah, I reckon they are. They probably aren't happy with it going in general, not even taking Rovers as a away record into consideration. It's always good to even just get a draw away from home and head back to your home ground now on level playing. You're not at a disadvantage or anything. I know you're not at an advantage going in because you're not leading on aggregate, but still, I do reckon it's in their favour now that little bit more.
Yeah, it is. So look, they just have to bring it home, and but I suppose it's in anyone's hands in that sense. But obviously, home advantage on paper is supposed to be the advantage to the home team. So, but Rovers didn't utilise the home advantage on Thursday. It didn't put KuPS away. But that was half time. No, it was a non-event. 5 minutes later, 5 minutes into the second half, Rovers have the ball in the net. It's 1-0.
Yeah.
Quite a bit of mayhem for the goal.
Yeah, it was kind of all over the place, and then there was some calls for foul and stuff after
They
as well.
KuPS players swarmed the ref.
Every single player was around the referee. It was a bit much, like.
But you know, like, as a concern, maybe as from a spectator's point of view, is it's just, if it's the whole team, you're thinking they might have a case here. Then, if that's the case, you know, if it's that they're all swarming the ref, whatever about if it's a few and they're just, you know, doing it maybe out of hope. There was a little bit of a check, but then the referee gave it as a goal. The ball comes in the box from Jack Byrne set piece, and then keeper kind of does well to punch it, but only goes as far as Dylan Watts. He heads it back across and hits the bar.
Yeah.
Rebound, and Enda Stevens very quick to react, and done really well to slot home as well.
Yeah, he was lightning quick to react to it, and done well to get the goal. And he kind of seems to come up when Rovers need him sometimes when they need a goal.
Well, he got that goal at Daily Mount.
Yeah, that was people will never forget.
I'll never forget. But yeah, that was it. It was really good from Enda Stevens to respond so quickly, and as well as that, not only respond so quickly, but he had to slot it, because that line, the goal line, was essentially, I think I had the keeper. I think might have had two defenders.
Yeah.
I think maybe one was kind of half getting up when he hits it, but either way, you still have to, you know, you have to pick
You
the
have to
spot.
place it, yeah. It's not just one where you can slot it into an empty goal. There's a keeper and defenders who are ready and like there to stop it.
Yeah, that's it. And I thought from that, then I thought, right, here we go. We're gonna see Rovers kick on here. Maybe try get one or two more goals.
Yeah.
Obviously, wasn't to be. There was a few minutes after that, they had created kind of a half chance. Jack Byrne had another ball in. This time it found Lee Grace for a header. And he made the keeper work, but that was about it. But I think at that point, I think particularly the South Stand's getting a lot louder, thinking, okay, here we go now. Nearly like you have a team on the ropes.
Yeah, it was. You were thinking that they were going to try to get you. There was a bit of time after the goal where you thought Rovers were going to press on and get another down, which is the way you want your. That's exactly what you want your team to do. They could have just sat there and let them attack, but you want them to come out and try and get that second goal, especially considering, as we keep harping on about the away record so far this season in Europe. So yeah, it was good to see Rovers come out and try and get that second goal right after, and they had the momentum at that point.
Yeah, there was another moment then. Dylan Watts had a ball in for Jonathan Afolabi. He gets his head on it, but the keeper kind of makes a save. But we both had turned to each other and said that Afolabi done extremely well to even just get to it. He kind of has to leap, to make sure he puts his head on that. But like that, it's just more signs that Rovers are getting shots on goal. And as I said, at that point, you're thinking, right, this is going to be a matter of when Rovers get the second goal, not an if. But
yeah,
I know, look, it never came.
Yeah, I know. It's a shame it didn't come in the end, but yeah, it did really look like they were gonna get that goal, and it's a shame that they didn't. But I suppose, what can you do?
Yeah,
it's over now.
Graham Burke with his magic left foot.
Yeah.
He made a great run at one point. Afolabi made a dart and run in. He missed it. I don't think he sees him in time. But then he just kind of goes on a run himself. Then thinks he's just gonna have to do it himself. And in the end, the attempt is a bit of a lame one. That's easy for the keeper to deal with, but it just shows you give Burke the space. This is what he does, you know.
Doesn't even need space, and he'll still do something.
Exactly. Like, it's just, I always say on this, I know we probably always harp on about it, but once he has that on his left foot, like, it just seems like it's glued there.
Yeah, it's mad. There's other players like that as well, but just watching that and seeing how when someone can just literally move like the ball is stuck to their feet. I don't know how you do
it. The I suppose the controversial moment maybe of the game, controversial probably a bit strong to label it as, but was 3 minutes after that he was withdrawn for Michael Noonan.
He was withdrawn quite early.
I didn't expect it, unless there's a knock we don't know about, that might not have been revealed, say, but other than that, I think, like, why would you be? He didn't play that on Sunday, you know. He was rested there. I know, look, he played 90 minutes in Albania. It would have been tough conditions, but at the end of the day, you know, this is, he was needed, and you miss his impact straight away.
Yeah, I know. It's strange that he was withdrawn as early as he was.
The same, like, well, I know there's a confusion with the ref. He wasn't allowing a sub to come on.
Yeah,
he wasn't allowing Mandroyo to come on.
That was really weird.
But essentially, in the same window, Stephen Bradley had withdrawn Jack Byrne and Graham Burke, two
Yeah.
two of your most probably creative players on the pitch.
Especially Jack Byrne, considering like he was involved, he whipped in the ball for the first goal, especially with Rovers when they are pressing. Set pieces are so important for Rovers. They get a lot of goals from corners, free kicks into the box, and I'm not saying like anyone else is bad at taking them, but Jack Byrne is he's unbelievable when whipping the ball in.
Yeah,
There's very few who can do it like him.
once he pulls those shorts up, you know something magic's gonna happen.
So yeah, it's it's a strange one. I don't really know.
I didn't get it. Like look, obviously he'll be fully he'll be fully recuperated now, I suppose, for the trip to Finland. But like yeah, I don't I think, and I could hear people around us saying the same thing, and people
Yeah.
online said it too, that like why was he withdrawn if it was an injury, or yeah, I don't know. It was just yeah, like you said, it was a strange one that I didn't really
And it was a
see.
strange one to make them three substitutions at that time, all of them together. I know it was kind of a mix up with Mandrai coming
Yeah,
on, but yeah, taking off basically your three most attacking players.
the well, as well, like the other point is, well, well, not a minute later, a few minutes later, Danny Mandroyo hits the post. He catches the keeper completely off guard, and I think we all looked and went, "Wow!" Like,
Yeah, I know.
he perfectly. It looked like he was going to perfectly place it, for the keeper not to be able to deal with it, because keepers, I think, is expecting the ball to go across, and he just literally just side foots it. Unfortunately, it hit the post, but it would have been a good moment for Danny as well. Obviously, he's still, on his way back to full fitness from that lengthy spell with the ACL. But like that, I think, yeah, it would have been a big moment for him if you had to
Yeah, he's
put
been
Roberts
coming
2-0
back.
up as well, which could have been invaluable.
Yeah, he's been coming back from such a big injury. It would be nice for him to get the goal and have that moment, especially at home as well, to have that moment in front of the fans. After fighting so hard to get back from such a bad injury, it would have just been a nice moment for him.
And then the lad I noted earlier was causing issues again, Bob Nee Arma,
Yeah,
of KuPS. He had a shot on goal and went wide, but Rovers were very lucky, and it was quite a close attempt. Will Fitzgerald, he was fouled, he carried on, he delivered a good ball to Danny Mandroyo, and his shot was blocked. And that looked like it had the ingredients to be going in as well. One of them, you're thinking, if it's not blocked, is it destined for the goal? You never know. Then like not too long, literally, like this is the one thing I've kind of caught on to as well when I do take these notes of. There was a really good save from Ed McGinty, a shot from distance, like outside the box, and then a minute later it was 1-1.
yeah,
And
that's yeah.
it's look, I think McGinty should be doing better.
I think
For
he would say himself he probably should have done better.
I think I just think his confidence is shot at the moment. He might
Yeah.
look, he might be saying something completely different. You don't know, but
Yeah,
it comes across that way on the pitch. Obviously, the pitch only tells you so much, but
no, it does. It seems like his confidence is not where you typically would be at, or typically where you'd want it to be at.
as I said, I just think it stems back from the Shells game at Tolka when we lost 2-1, and he was caught flat foot. I've since then I've picked it up. I haven't seen it. I wasn't too, or maybe it was the case, and I didn't come across it too much, but I've just noticed it from then. It's been a pattern, and yeah, look, the goal comes in the 85th minute, and the substitute Parasek, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's from like kind of the edge of the box, near it's on the inside of the box, but like near the edge, and with the ball in, and yeah, just McGinty gets a touch to it, still goes in, and it's just, yeah, 5 minutes out from stoppage time. You're thinking, not again. Rovers
Yeah,
conceding, giving up a lead. And then the only other kind of chance after, between that and the end of the game, was that the ball fell to Adam Brennan, and he was in a good position, but again, he doesn't get a strong enough attempt in
no,
stoppage time, and ends 1-1. Note was poor result, flat performance, and
it was.
not
It
confident at
was.
all. But I'm
No,
changed.
and we won't talk about the second leg too much because we'll talk about it a bit later. But
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. It's just Rovers and their inability to hold a lead at the moment. Whether it's a lead in just one game or a lead across two legs, it seems
yeah,
like they're unable to just hold it at the moment. And it's not even the problem is sometimes teams get a lead and they just sit there, let a team attack them, and then sometimes teams they keep pressing and try and get more. I feel like Rovers have tried both
mm.
recently, and they're still not holding the lead.
Yeah, like you saw with like two contrasts of it was Ignacia going in 3-1 up, and it seemed like they tried to kind of go a bit more on the front foot slightly, but every time they did it, they were just torn apart.
Yeah.
And then they go 2-0 up against Pats on Sunday in the cup, and kind of tried to hold what they have nearly at 2-0 and still gave it up. So yeah, what's the solution? It's tough to figure out, and now they're gonna have to go out. And so our KuPS from kickoff, both teams are gonna have to go out for it. I think KuPS will think they have more time is the only thing because they're at home.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like they might be able to rely on the latter stages of getting the winner as opposed to Rovers might want to have that lead going into late, but then that might not be the case. You might not want the
No,
lead that
I
early.
know. Yeah.
The way things are going, it'll make for an interesting second leg. As you said, we'll touch on that a little bit later in the episode. But yeah, I don't know. I just the result overall, the 1-1 draw. Was it enough? I don't know. I can't.
We don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, only time will tell.
I don't know. It doesn't feel like it will be enough. Yeah. Time will tell.
Yeah. But we'll move it on. We'll move it on to a slightly cheerier note, I suppose. It feels maybe wrong for it to be cheery when we're talking about maybe a slightly negative result, in the 1-1 draw with KuPS. But it is that this episode that we're recording is our 50th episode. We're here.
The big 5-0.
Look at us. Look how far we made it.
I know. Who would have thought?
Well, this is when this started last October. I don't think maybe many of us did think we'd be going 50 episodes, or maybe you did. I don't know. What was? I'll ask you maybe that question. When you started this in October, did you think we'd be still here? I know it's not even a year. It's 10 months since we started, but
them double game weeks.
Them double game weeks to rack up these episode numbers.
I know. Yeah, you wouldn't think that you'd get 50 episodes out in less than a year.
Yeah.
But
well, it depends. And the funny thing is, I suppose it depends on if Rovers are going to be in Europe and on how many more we're going to have this calendar year.
Or there could be a little bit of a hiatus.
Oh,
for the festive season.
Yeah, having a very relaxed festive period.
Hopefully not.
No, but yeah, look, I suppose maybe without getting too much into it, a little bit about us or why we started the Milltown Way and how we've gotten to 50 episodes as we record here in August 2026 is that I think, look, there was probably a little bit of a gap in coverage of Rovers. Look, there's various other podcasts that cover Rovers or previously did, particularly the one of the best one of note as well as the Tales from the East Stand. They've done a swell job as well on their podcast. I know they don't do it anymore, but and that's also another reason kind of where the Milltown Way kind of came in, and that's where we slot in. And yeah, look, I suppose the difference we wanted to maybe offer for the want of a better term is just kind of independent coverage on Rovers, and it being kind of independence, probably the key word, but particularly on present tense Rovers. We have future plans which we'll reveal and when we can of other stuff we're going to do with the Milltown Way. It's definitely coming soon. Just something that we're still working on before we can fully reveal what we're going to do. But do keep an eye on our socials for that. But yeah, it's one of them in terms of, I don't know about you, it's just independent coverage of the club, that we're not here. We're not connected to the club.
It's good to be to have some people who cover stuff with no affiliation to the club. That's, I think, the big thing. Because, for example, I don't want to bring it back up, but after that Ignacia performance, when we did go in quite hard, if you were affiliated with the club, it's unlikely
you wouldn't go that hard maybe on.
No, probably wouldn't have. I still think most of the stuff he said was fair, but
yeah. It's just that
if you're working there, if you're connected to the club, they're just not going to let you really do all that. And it's good to have that as well, because when people are connected or affiliated with clubs, has to be listened to before and it gets released, and we don't have to do that. We can just get it out into the world,
put it out there and see what happens.
Yeah, so that's definitely more preferable. And I think it's good to just have just to be able to be honest and say exactly what you think. And independent coverage, there is so little of it for Rovers, like you're saying. There was the Tallaght from the East and all the podcast, but they don't do it anymore.
Yeah,
and they haven't done it in all.
I think it's in around the time that we that
when
the
we kind
Milltown
of,
Way
yeah.
came, that we it was around the same time. I think they concluded the weekly release of it. Obviously, I know their pages are still active, and
Yeah.
it's all good people involved with that too. I suppose one thing I'll ask it, maybe a bit of a reflection question of
Okay.
one specific moment that sticks to you since, or that's evolved the Milltown Way, or recording the
Ooh,
podcast, or
yeah.
anything affiliated with the Milltown Way from
Yeah.
your stance.
Uh, well, I wonder what like. Yeah, I'm trying to think. What was our first episode?
So I still have the refill pad with the notes in it.
Yeah, because I
It
remember
was
the
about set when
first
we
one.
lost 2-0 to Selge.
Yeah, okay, it was. Yeah, because we kind
Yeah,
of started doing it around the league phase stuff.
yeah,
I think just being able to, I do. There's been some episodes where I think we just have clicked,
mm.
and I know again talking about that one where we lost Ignacio, but I felt like that episode. Obviously, there was a lot to talk about because of how bad it was, but I felt like it actually was a highlight in terms of that. The episode just went so smoothly and so well in terms of recording it.
It's a bit convenient that your one specific moment that sticks is the last episode you've done.
Ooh.
Fellas had a memory of a goldfish here.
Like Ted Lasso says, big goldfish. Or even, for example, the one after we lost 1-0 to, we lost 2-0 to Floriana, and we recorded straight after
Yeah,
the away leg. That one again was one where we just kind of clicked, and sounds like a trend that when Rovers lose,
we click.
yeah. But that was another one where it was just like, yeah, it was a very smooth episode, and everything just flowed really well, and I think the points we ended up making and stuff were good.
Yeah, I suppose like one moment that I enjoyed was when we recorded an episode on the drive back from
Oh
Drogheda.
yeah,
The one that did sound good. There was
yes,
two that we
yes,
did in the car, and one didn't sound too good. So we've been told, and
yeah,
listening back, yeah, I'd agree. It's one of them. It's sometimes it
yeah.
can,
It was cool to try.
yeah, and the flow state you
Yeah,
reach. But no, it's one of them. I think as well, in terms of just that audio thing, is like there is like just we listen back to it before releasing, so there's no like it's not just going out just to get it out kind of thing. Because there's no rush at the end of the day really, but it does definitely sound different at times because there's been times where I've listened back and I can't hear any issues, and then the next someone might say it to me,
yeah,
or you might see something, or even when listening back after it's published, and you think I couldn't hear that when I was listening back, or vice versa. So yeah, there's just little things like that are you run into these issues doing a podcast, I
yeah.
suppose. And as you can imagine, we don't have top of the range equipment, or
No,
we're not paying
we don't have a full
200 quid.
studio or anything like that.
We don't have a sound guy.
Well, we did
Someone might,
today.
yeah, might be we'll get him in on an internship
Yeah.
for his payment experience.
But another one as well, actually, that was a good one. Was after we won the double, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
well.
that was a jolly episode.
Probably not many points made, and
No.
that just kind of just riding on the wave.
And that was obviously the league had been wrapped up. The cup was over. It was only Europe then that we had to do it for
Yeah,
the last few weeks before Christmas.
yeah. Yeah, so like there's definitely we've definitely had good moments. We've definitely had ones where we've probably been saying we're wrecked. We've said it probably on the
Yeah, we have.
podcast.
The ones that we filmed straight after a game.
Yeah, they're
And
tough.
it's like 10 o'clock at night already.
And it's 10 o'clock when you're finishing, even when you're leaving Tallaght,
Yeah,
and then
realistically, you're not getting started till about
11.
About 11.
And
And
you're
doing
recording
an
to
hour.
What was it? There was one where I think we recorded into like 1 a.m. at one point. There's something
Was that one?
I don't know what that was, but I remember it being like really.
There was a
Because I
late
remember
one.
saying it's really late. Like I
Yeah,
remember
it has
after,
been.
yeah, yeah. But look, I suppose I don't know. Maybe the reason
Was that
like,
after? I think it was after Shells away, wasn't it? We get the
Couldn't-
train
yeah.
back and then we
Yeah,
had to drive down from the station
yeah,
to do it. Because originally, remember we were talking we were going to do it in a pub.
yeah. Well, yeah, it just would have been hearing like it would have been like recording on the background of Cheers.
Yeah.
Norm. Yeah. So, but look, I suppose the reason we do it, like, look, can I speak for myself here? I'm sure maybe hopefully you'll have similar feelings of that. Like, look, I thoroughly enjoy doing this podcast. Thoroughly enjoy doing the Milltown Way. anyone who chats to me about this podcast, whether it be a friend or a work colleague or family, I'd be like, I've always said the day that I don't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it anymore. If I felt like it was a chore, even though I know we're kind of touching on, kind of joking about how we're tired after matches when
Well,
we're doing
that's
it.
not the actual podcast. It's,
Yeah.
That's you're just tired at the end
Tired.
of the
It's Thursday night or
Yeah, it's a
Tuesday
Thursday night,
or
Tuesday
Wednesday.
night. You've worked the next morning and now it's 12:30.
Yeah.
Especially if it hasn't been a good result.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. But look, it's I can only say I can only say good things, and look, we as well as that we I suppose consistently reach out in terms of asking questions on our platforms. In terms of like you'd see that we put out a question yesterday: can Rovers get a result in Finland in KuPS? And we're gonna be touching on the responses we got on that, even stuff like that. It's all makes for kind of a community of the Milltown Way, and as I said, we do have future plans to kind of maybe widen the horizon. But again, this will all come in due course, and you'll see it. You won't miss it essentially, and it will be everywhere.
Be
But
hard to miss.
exactly, well, you have to be that way.
Yeah, that's true.
But I suppose maybe a question I'll ask you again. What would you want from the next 50 episodes of the Milltown Way?
Ooh,
if there is 50.
Another 50 episodes
Before pulled off the air.
50, yeah. You get cancelled. I think, well, like as you touched on about some stuff in the works at the moment, I think that and kind of expanding the podcast and the content a little bit more is a good one, and that's something that I am excited for, and also for everyone to see and hear it. But that's, well, if you wanted to ask me what I hope for, it's to win the league.
The Milltown Way is in the league.
Yeah, well,
where are they in the league?
It's that I hope that episode has to come out after winning the league.
Hopefully.
But no, I think just to continue expansion of the show and just to keep, we touch on how much we enjoy it. Have enjoyed doing it so much, and I feel like if we just continue to if it does stay the same, I'd be happy as well. It's enjoyable, but I do think that I am looking forward to it, and I do think the good thing to do is to expand the content that little bit. Like particularly from when we started, it's already changed a little bit.
Yeah,
the episodes definitely were a little bit shorter at the start and stuff. I think there was a bit less banter.
We were a bit more formal. Now we're just taking the piss out of each other.
Yeah, exactly. You I think that makes it more enjoyable. It makes it more enjoyable to do, and I'd say probably more enjoyable to listen to as well. You kind of want.
No one really wants to listen to an hour of just a formal chat between two people really for an hour.
It's not a crime podcast or something. We're talking about football at the end of the day.
You might have called that episode after Ignacia a crime podcast. Murder of my hopes. But look, that's it. And as well as that, just while the last point I suppose we make on reflecting on the Milltown Way and where we're at and where we want to be is look, if anyone is listening as well and wants to kind of be involved in any way or wants to if they feel like they want to get on board or want to let us know their thoughts, opinions, anything you think, let us know. Look, I suppose anyone who has kind of contacted the page, contacted us via our social media platforms, you'll probably know straight away that look, we're very open to chatting to anyone and everyone. I mean, even we've been reached out to via email as well. So like, no one hesitate to reach out and contact us. We're not I don't know. We're not gonna bite.
Yeah, we're not Hollywood. We will answer.
We're not Hollywood yet.
Not yet.
Not until Ryan Reynolds takes over this podcast.
He buys the show.
And Rob McElhenney.
Yeah, they're on it.
But yeah, that's it. As I said, look, anyone who does want to kind of who thinks maybe they'd like to be on for an episode or knows someone that might want to be on, look, get in touch. Social media or email. Our email address is themilltownway@gmail.com. Look, you know where to find us. We're easily contactable as well, through like your Facebooks, Twitters, Instagrams, anywhere.
And also just if anyone has any ideas and stuff that they think we could try or do, that's also another one as well.
Yeah, like we're always open to feedback via comments or as I said, True. Anywhere you want to get in touch, just do it.
Yeah,
Don't
reaching
hesitate.
out. Yeah, send a text.
Yeah. But I suppose, look, we'll stop patting ourselves on the back. And we'll move it on to the second leg in Finland, and that is obviously, look, Rovers head to Finland. They're going a couple of days early. Stephen Bradley
Yeah.
revealed as well, changing their travel plans. They're going a bit early to prepare. And yeah, look, the scoreline is, of course, one apiece. Heading into kickoff next Thursday. Everyone as well, make sure you do take note of the early kickoff, very early
Yeah, I know.
kickoff.
It's some people will be in work. I'm not a fan of that time.
I finished at the same second the game kicks off.
Ooh,
So
well, you better not finish it early.
But yeah, look, it's 4 p.m. kickoff Irish time.
Yeah, 6 p.m.
in Finland for those who are making the trip. I know there was limited seats left on the charter, and anyways, which is a good sign. And I don't know if they've been booked out.
As well.
Every away game so far has been
Yeah.
really. Malta is. I know that Malta you can fly.
Yeah,
right
you
there.
can fly. Yeah, you can fly direct to Malta, but to get to KuPS, there's an airport in KuPS, but it only really does flights from Helsinki and nearby places. Like it'll be a cold one. It won't be a hot one.
Well, this is one of the first points I was going to make was Rovers don't have to do this adapting to 30-degree heat, that kickoff time, which is something that's just unnatural and nearly, I don't know, well, from an Irish person's perspective, nearly unfathomable to think of kicking a ball around at full pace, at 30-degree heat without melting.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I know it's tricky. It is tricky. Has that played a factor in the other games? Because in Albania and stuff, it's Armenia and stuff. It's been near 30 degrees when they've been playing.
Yeah.
Same with Malta with that strange ground.
Yeah, the trumpet playing.
Yeah, remember that they had the full orchestra.
And
it
then
was a dirt track with motorbikes on it as well. It's like something out of Simpsons or something.
From the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I did pose the question on social media. As I said a few minutes ago there, are people confident that Rovers can get a result in KuPS? Largely negative again. We posed the question ahead of the first leg, and it was largely negative, and it hasn't really gotten much more positive than that. In social media, we've gotten answers probably not. We've gotten bloody hope so.
Yeah.
Nope, no, nah. We've gotten all of them in response.
Positive.
But then as one reached out to say, unfortunately, no, squad is simply not good enough for European football this year. That was Luke Gildia, I want to say. I might be pronouncing that name wrong, so apologies if you're listening to this and I pronounce your name wrong. But yeah, is that a point to make? Is that a factor taking error? Is the squad not good enough to be in the European League phase?
No, I don't think so. It's not. It's similar squad to last year, and they were obviously didn't do it as well last season as perhaps a lot of supporters would have hoped, but I think saying the strict, no, I think that's wrong to say the squad isn't strong enough.
Yeah. And on the contrary to that, then we had Cian Roach reach out. He said he is confident that Rovers can get the result in KuPS. He said more confident after last night, referring to Thursday night's game. And he said, and we know we need a win. So that's the other side of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know how. Personally, I don't know how. Just different factors maybe, but to be more confident after that 1-1 draw, I wouldn't necessarily. I would be saying that now, but I can see maybe why as well in terms of, as I said, defensively, and for large parts, particularly the first half, KuPS didn't really look like overly threatening. No. I know they did have periods in the second half where it looked like it was inevitable they're going to equalise, but other than that,
I know. Yeah, it is. It is difficult. I wouldn't say I'm overly confident. But I do think some people that are writing them off already, I think, is wrong as well.
Yeah.
I don't think, especially saying the squad isn't strong enough, I do think they are strong enough. I just think it's been a bit of bad form and teams go through that. It's just, we're fortunate enough that Rovers don't tend to have as bad form as they're in right now very often.
Yeah.
Particularly with this European form away from home, but. No, I do reckon they can do it. It's going to be it's not going to be an easy task. They are a strong side, and as you said, they most likely would have been happy enough coming away from Thursday. So I reckon and they're going to just look at Rovers' away record so far and that's just going to fill them with more confidence.
Yeah, this is it. Like it's whatever way you want to look at, kind of what side of the coin you want to be on. Do you want to be a half
Yeah.
glass full or a half glass empty? We also so we had Tony Kelly reach out. On paper we're up against it, but we're not playing on paper. It's an Astro pitch. Needs a lucky bounce. Who knows? That's true. The game isn't played on paper, and it's not played on grass. This one either. Well,
Yeah, it's like Oriel Park.
don't get me started. Well, not since this year though.
No.
It's like at the Brandywell. That's got done up actually as well. Like
Yeah, I hate Astro pitches.
um,
I never liked playing them even when I was a kid playing. Can't get proper slide tackles.
Peter Richardson said yes, it's only half time. Reference that they can get the result in KuPS. So yeah, look, it's very much a mixed bag. The responses we got on social media, which is always, I think, maybe I have no complaints about getting mixed reviews. It just goes to show kind of the difference in opinions that people have at the moment of Rovers and where they're at. Look, maybe these like at the end of the day, Rovers are winless in their last 3 games.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to say. Yeah, they are obviously winless in the last 3, and I think it's the fashion of them losses that from last week that has left a sour taste in a lot of fans, and why they have a negative opinion.
If it wasn't for the 5-1 to Ignacia, if Rovers maybe went out, I don't know, extra time penalties against Ignacia,
or if they had lost 1-0 to Pats rather than blowing it,
giving up the 2-goal
lead,
advantage,
and doing the 2 Pats of all teams.
Look, this we've touched on it, I touched on it in the episode in the lead up to the KuPS second leg, and the team are now pushover, and everyone is aware of that. Look, we're preaching to the choir. I'm sure nearly all our listeners know exactly what kind of maybe nearly what to expect on Thursday. Look, it's the condition in terms of conditions. Look, as I said, it's going to be a cooler one.
Yeah,
it won't be. You're not going up against 30-degree heat. It's expected to be 14 at kickoff.
Yeah,
14 degrees, which is very bearable. And
that's not bad at all.
That's a factor to take in. That's a positive for Rovers. To go there and not have to adapt to the heat is a factor. They're getting there a bit earlier as well. It gives them a bit more time to prepare. They wouldn't have had that. Obviously, look, if the league game was played on Sunday, say the one that was supposed to be against Shells, if that was played, like you would have expected. I think we all expected to go to the Sunday. So they still could have travelled early, but yeah, you're still then on the back of a game then where it might be a bit more fatigue. So it is good. Look, whether who's responsible or if the league done it purposely, postponing the Shells game as opposed to putting to the Sunday. Hopefully it works in Rovers' favour. I think we all want, even maybe some rival fans want an Irish club in this league.
Yeah, they want an Irish club in Europe because
everyone.
It's good for the league, really.
Everyone benefits. Really.
Yeah, exactly. And I think having the 2 last year was a remarkable achievement. First time ever, really. Yeah. First time ever it had happened. So I think, it's unfortunate that Rovers will be the only Irish team in Europe, maybe.
Even that, it's the fact that it's really on thin ice.
Yeah, it's the fact that it's just it's not good to have no Irish teams in Europe at all this year.
Particularly as well, without getting, this is the last kind of negative point I'm going to make before we properly look ahead to Thursday, is that it would be additionally disappointing if Rovers don't make Europe, particularly starting from the Champions League. Not only starting from the Champions League, but making the second round. Because once you make the second round of the Champions League, it's like you're like a game away essentially from. Well, you are a game away from securing Europe. Yeah. If you made it to the third round of the Champions League, you're guaranteed Europe. Yeah. If you made it to the playoffs of the Europa League, guaranteed Europe. But now we're at the playoffs of the Conference League. We're going away with a one-all scoreline. It's Rovers going to be up against it. There's no doubt. Look, this KuPS team, as I was saying in the episode in the lead up to it, they're a good side. They've done really well last season in the Conference League phase. They made it out of the league phase. They went to the knockout playoff. They were beaten by Lech Poznan.
They drew at Crystal
Palace. The eventual winners, of course. They beat Slovan Bratislava. They're no pushover.
No, they're a strong side.
But Rovers are strong. Yeah. Rovers made it's easy to say that, and we all look at it and think look, we're all going to be pessimistic, I suppose, maybe in a way, cautiously optimistic, maybe, to say, look, we're we're not kind of writing off KuPS in any way, shape, or form. No one is doing that. But at the same time, they must be looking at they'll be looking at Rovers thinking this isn't going to be easy either.
No.
All they have to do is go back to when Rovers were making the league, the knockout stage, the same round,
Yeah.
and only were beaten on penalties by Mold. It could have very
Yeah.
easily went another way, and Rovers could have made the round of 16.
I know. Yeah, I feel like ages ago.
And it feels like a world apart, really. You know,
compared to where they are now.
the Rovers aren't. It's easy to maybe fall into a negative trap. Rovers are still top of the league. I know it's now 4 points with a game in hand because Pats obviously beat Drogheda last night. At the time of recording this on the Saturday, but yeah, look, it may be slightly easy to be negative, particularly as well that Pats will play again before Rovers play Derry in the league. So it's just a case that Rovers might only be 1 point clear at the top of the table. Obviously, they will have the 2 games in hand. Derry's a tough place to go though as well, but
yeah.
all eyes on Europe. I think Rovers just need to go all out for this now.
Yeah.
You know, there's no holding back. There's no if it's easy to say this, but I think Stephen Bradley needs to just think tunnel vision, and I know he will anyway. So he has the mindset of one game at a time. But
Yeah.
nearly, I'd be saying, forget even you're playing Derry. Put your strongest team in. If it goes to extra time, you know, balance it out by put strongest players the whole time. Max your players out if you have to. Do whatever you can to get out into Europe. If it means maybe dropping points against Derry, it's not ideal. But if you're in Europe at the expense of dropping points against just Derry, look, I don't think many will have too many complaints about it. Of course, look, the league's a necessity. Rovers need to win the league to make sure they're in that Champions League qualifier next year. But at the same time, there's still going to be another game in hand after Derry, and Derry is a long way to go. You're coming back from Finland. I think the team are flying home directly after the game that night, whatever happens. So, and then to travel to Derry probably on the Sunday, like it's going to be a lot on them.
It's tough. Yeah, it is tough to do all that.
And like it's not as if you're going back to Tallaght on the Sunday. It's, as I said, it's Derry. It's a 3 hour trip.
Yeah, it's the furthest trip in the league, really.
Unless they're flying Finland to Derry, which I do.
I think they could fly to Belfast.
Yeah,
the players will want to go home.
Yeah, well, that's they're not. I'm not sure. I think it's confirmed that they're on a flight home to Dublin after the game. But yeah, they could have to save a bit of travel.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I'm optimistic about the second leg. Where I'm getting it from, I don't necessarily know. Look, we need. I think
we've seen Rovers win big games before when they need a win and they've pulled it out. So that's where your confidence really is coming from.
Exactly. Look, I know the form isn't great, but you don't just forget about this squad's capabilities.
No.
Rovers are still top, like they're as a 4 point lead at the top of the league with a game in hand. Like they didn't get that for no reason. A good position they're in. They didn't qualify. They haven't. You know, this will be the 3rd year in a row Rovers qualify for league phase if they can get past KuPS. You know that's not by chance.
No, it doesn't happen. That happens because of years of development and just years of quality, really.
Yeah, and this squad is full of quality, really. You know, look at every department, really. Look, I know Ed McGinty might be in a little bit of a rough patch at the moment, but we all know exactly the talent he possesses. Look at the defense. You know, the World Cup star Roberto Lopez. I know he's been a little bit shaky since he's come back. Maybe probably could have been doing better than what he has been in recent time. League races, solid option. And the Stevens coming up with the good. Sobowali, look, need I say more about him? And then the wing backs positions is full of talent. You have Adam Brennan, Will Fitzgerald. Some maybe are a little bit doubtful. Jake Mulroney, he has his doubters, but no, I know obviously injured. But Danny Grant, and I could go on, but and Graham Burke, Jack Bourne, maybe they were just taking off. Just I don't know why they were taking off really on Thursday that one.
Yeah.
I was gonna say injury, but like it's still the first leg, so you want to get the job done as much as you can in the first leg. So it's less to do on the second. But look, it is what it is. Rovers are due a bit of luck.
They are,
you know,
especially with the last little run of it.
Yeah, this is look. I just gonna be nervous when this game comes around. I'm nearly getting nervous now. It's Saturday.
We're getting nervous a day early.
Yeah. But look,
no, there's reason to be nervous as well. Like it's valid enough reason to be nervous because of, unfortunately, how they have been recently.
That and how much rides on this, really.
Yeah.
You know, like you think about the revenue it brings in. You think about the 3 additional match days at least that Rovers are guaranteed, and the money that comes from that. you know, the prize money, then the
TV.
prize money for the results, TV. You know, it's so crucial to this
Yeah.
club that they make Europe. We said this earlier in the year, even a few episodes ago, when we thought maybe Rovers are lining up to be gonna be in Europe. It's just we were nearly saying which ones are gonna be, the Europa
Yeah.
League or the Conference League, and now the Conference League hopes are hanging on by a thread. But
Yeah.
I think Rovers can go there and do it. Look, I think KuPS are, as I said, no one is near writing them off. However, I think Rovers kind of showed that they can be
They
better
can
than them.
yeah, they can, because they were better than them for large parts of the game.
Yeah, like I think like maybe 85% of that game Rovers were the better side.
Yeah.
Like I don't think it's unfair to say that. Look, I said KuPS did have their spells, but like I know both teams were more so flat, but it also showed then that KuPS aren't just coming in and just gonna dominate Rovers, and Rovers just sit back and defend and try to absorb pressure, hit them on a counter. It wasn't like that at all. Rovers showed they can come to them and dictate the play. Look, I know they're not going to be in Tallaght, and that's been a strong factor this year in Europe. That when they're not in Tallaght, they do suffer. But look, the squad's due a bit of luck.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly. They just need something to bounce. They just need it to go their way,
Yeah.
and it hasn't the last while. So hopefully it will be that day.
Hopefully so. It'll be interesting. I don't want to be overly confident either. I don't want to be, there's so many days away from the second leg that I'm like, but
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
look, Rovers, they know how to conduct themselves in Europe. This isn't unusual. So you need to take solace in that as well, that they've been here before. They know how to get a job done. You'd think of Santa Clara last year and they
Yeah.
went there and they won. Like they're not.
They can do it they can show up in big games and get results when they need to.
This is the biggest game of the year.
Yeah, it is. It's the biggest game of the year for Rovers.
Look, there'll be bigger ones if they
Yeah.
qualify. Well, bigger ones as well, obviously, in terms of going for the league and how that's going to unfold
Yeah.
in the remaining games. But so far this season, this is the biggest game on Thursday
Yeah,
of the season.
100%. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's the biggest game of the season, and from a financial standpoint, it will be the biggest game of the season. Obviously, talking about we're running for the league and stuff. There will be games. Hopefully, there won't be games right at the end where it's still going on. Hopefully, it can be wrapped up, but they could be deemed as more important. But from a financial standpoint, there's nothing bigger than this for Rovers.
Yeah, they need to get the job done. I think they can get the job done. They just need to go out and attack the game now. Maybe not overly attack the game and leave themselves vulnerable, but go out and just go for it.
Yeah.
This is it now. As I said, forget about Derry. Forget there's even another game on Sunday. It's all about
Finland. It's all about Thursday.
Yeah. I'm confident. I think Rovers can do it. I didn't see the game. The biggest thing is I didn't see this game and think Rovers definitely not going to be able to get a result there.
No.
They didn't look like that.
No, I definitely think it's possible. And I think they might do it, but it's just not going to be easy. It's going to be unfortunately, it could probably end up being a stressful Thursday.
I wish I was going. Wish I had the money. Wish I had the time off and work.
Yeah. It would be great to be able to go over.
Yeah, especially the playoffs and I said, but I thought this about all the other away legs as well.
Yeah,
I'd just be financially broke if I was there in Malta, Albania, Armenia. But look, any fans who are making the trip as well, best of luck, safe travels as well. Be the 12th man, make as much noise as you can. Rovers are going to need it. They're going to need you. And look, let's get this job done. Let's get into Europe.
Yeah, hopefully the next episode will be a happier one.
Yeah. But look, I suppose we'll leave it at that for this episode. As always, thanks for listening. Make sure you do follow us on our social media platforms. As we said earlier, do not hesitate to get in touch with us. If you have any ideas, any feedback, or you want to get involved with the Milltown Way, we'd love to hear from you. But other than that, that's it. Thanks as always for listening. We're 50 episodes in. We're still here. And yeah, we'll chat to you after that crucial second leg against KuPS to see if Rovers are going to be in Europe or not. But until then, thanks for listening.
Thank you.